Hi, I'm Kate.
And I'm Mandy, and this is Love Sober,
the podcast for the sober and sober curious.
Hi, and welcome back to Love Sober, the podcast for the sober and sober curious. And today I'm really pleased to welcome Hind Nenmassi. So, hi, Hind.
Hello.
How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, okay. We were talking, weren't we, about the fact that we're recording on a Monday morning, and it happens to be the kind of favourite part of the week.
Yes.
And the pressure of long weekends, which I think a lot of people listening in will actually relate to from a sober point of view. But so Hind is a 30-something musician based in Brighton. They have been in the forefront of the Brighton indie scene the last few years with their band Sun and Air. They also host Assuming Form on Slack City Radio, which is a monthly show on navigating life and identity when you've always been the outsider because of race, ethnicity, gender or sexuality. Hind is also passionate and very open about their own mental health and neurodiversity and how this has inevitably been intertwined with alcohol abuse in their 20s. And it's something that I relate to actually on various levels, and I can't wait to dive into this with you, Hind. And if you can start at the decision to kind of go alcohol free and what brought you to that decision to tell the listeners.
So I've been sober since the 1st of January 2022, and this is my second attempt. I feel like I should say before though that I only started drinking at 23, so it was February 2015. So 23 I was going on to 24. So I kind of have a short drinking career, but it was very intense. When I decided to go sober last year, it was mostly because I started a treatment called Roaccutane. You might have heard of it. It's a treatment for acne. It's nothing too serious, but it's very intense, and it dries you out, so you can't have alcohol with it. Although no doctors said that, it was just my own decision because it makes your hangovers so much worse. And I was so excited to finally, because I was 29 at the time, still had terrible skin, mostly just really due to my skin being the way it wasn't due to lifestyle. So I thought, okay, I'm going to do this. And I had sort of external pressure because of the medication. I wanted it to work so badly. So I thought, okay, this is a great excuse. But it was also for my mental health. It just kind of makes sense. But on my 30th birthday, I just because of a silly mistake at a silly accident at the bar, I went for a cocktail bar, and the barman asked for a virgin espresso martini, I think it was, and he came back saying, "This is all flat and disgusting. I don't want to serve it to you." So I just thought, oh, okay, well, just make it a normal one. It's my 30th. I'll just have one cocktail. I ended the night at 8 a.m. the next day. I missed therapy, and then I just went back to my horrible all drinking habit. So by the 1st of December last year, I decided to try again, and this time for good. Mostly for my mental health. I have terrible mental health, have very high anxiety that on a daily basis. Nothing triggers it. It's just my default mode. I suffer from depression as well. I'm constantly broke. I'm terrible at managing money. And also I love to drink to just numb everything, to just escape from everything, and to feel like I have some sort of sense of connection with people. And I thought that's enough of that. If I want to ever, do something with my life and try and save money to make myself happier, I need to stop drinking.
It's so because alcohol is so prevalent and so expected and accepted. I can feel that. I can sort of hear that decision-making process at that bar, and then, yeah, like you said, the kind of. I mean, when I was circling the airport, as I like to put it, with sort of stopping, and there had to be a few circles of the airport before it was really making sense, rather than something I just should be doing, and actually something that was like, okay, I also have the experience of period of alcohol-free living to base it sort of before and after, if you like. Yeah, and it sounds like that, really foundational piece that it so kind of often is. But tell us about you know, this, because I know you've told me as well that there are links with your neurodiversity, and you have a working diagnosis of ADHD, I think you told me.
That's correct, yeah.
And how you understand that segues in with the stuff that you've talked about. You said, I am terrible with money, I am this, I am that. And somehow the alcohol worked in some ways, but made some things awfully much worse. And how that segues into ADHD and what you understand about that now.
So first of all, I'm all or nothing constantly in all areas of my life. Well, I try to be less that now that I understand what ADHD is. So that's why I can't have some drinks. I'm not interested in drinking in moderation. I don't even like the taste that much. And when it comes to money, I just, once I start spending, it's so addictive. Even if I don't have it, like, it doesn't matter if it's overdraft, if it's borrowed money, if it's money I have in my account, it really doesn't matter. It's just a matter of spending the money and seeing it go. I've never been someone who hoard anything materialistic. I mean, I'm okay with that, but I'd love to, I don't, how can I say this? I'd love to do something a bit better and just not feel financial insecurity all the time. And when it comes to other ways I can see how ADHD intertwines with alcohol, is that as soon as work finished, I was lucky enough that alcohol didn't really impact on my day at work, because it's just, I'm not interested in these two things mixing together. Once I'm in my free time, I was just seeking something exciting, and I was just feeling numb all the time. Okay, I'm getting a little bit lost here in my thoughts, but how can I explain this?
It's fine.
So it's always about seeking exciting sensations. And when I'm out, so I love going out to pubs, to gigs, clubs, but it was always a matter of how much can I drink as quickly as possible so that I can feel comfortable here with the volume, the smells, the conversations, people being so close to your face when they talk to you. Sometimes even I'm not an affectionate person. I love my friends, but I don't like touching people. But the more people drink, the more affectionate they are without asking you. So I feel like I had to drink as well as much so that I could be okay with random hugs or random people touching you. Also, I cannot talk to strangers. I really cannot. So if I'm in a social situation where I don't know anyone, I had to pre-drink big time.
Yeah. And I think what you're describing, how much, and myself, how much of that shoehorning ourselves into social situations, that feeling of shut down, being numb, so sensory seeking with alcohol because of that upper and downer effect of it. And then that kind of almost, it's like a buffer, a sensory buffer. So it is, I spoke to a great coach, called Jolene Park, who lives in the States, and she explains alcohol as like a dirty drug, in that it hits every single one of the neurotransmitters.
Oh yeah.
So uppers and downers, and no wonder, and it's legal and it's expected. So it's no wonder so many of us get into, problems with it. Yeah. Because it works till it doesn't work. Right.
I'm allergic to pet hair, like really badly, and I've many situations I've been really, really drunk and around cats and dogs, and I'm absolutely fine. And that's kind of made me realize how bad alcohol is. I should be reacting right now when I don't feel anything. That's terrifying.
Yeah, so it's almost like an anesthetic quality to it, which I think it does. I think, when we start looking at it, in terms of, I know for many people, when we stop drinking, and for me, it's like, okay, I had to hate it. I had to go, I just hate this. It didn't do anything for me because I couldn't allow the possibility that I liked it for anything. Because I'm neurodivergent as well. So I was like, there can't be like any kind of like in there. It just has to be hate. But actually, as as I grew in my sobriety, I was like, oh, I did, and I used it for X, Y, and Z. And for me, that sort of regulating myself, because I had not learned to or acknowledged being able to regulate myself. So in a sensory way, was really big. Numbing out tiredness.
Yeah.
Numbing out of the pain of tiredness. It was like, what is that? It was like, I wasn't like often trying to go out and have fun like you're supposed to, I'm doing air bubbles at you. But, to sort of, just drinking on, for me, it was like drinking on the sofa because I was tired. And it's like, oh man, that's shit. That's really shit. So I think, a lot of that, people can relate to, and you're certainly not alone with that. But I'm interested as well, because you just cycle back and talk about your brief drinking history and the element of you're from Morocco, you said originally, Morocco, so you're Muslim background, and how that's so unpack that for us.
Right. So I'm Moroccan, born and bred in France, but at home it's really different to some families I've seen here. In my family, we were Moroccan, like 100% Moroccan. So that means speaking Arabic at home, eating Moroccan food most of the time, the way we dress, the way we act. And also Islam is not just a religion, it's so intertwined with your lifestyle when you're Muslim. Well, for most people, and for us, obviously. From that one, whenever I talk about religion and culture, I'm just going to be talking about obviously my experience. I don't want to generalize.
Yeah.
So alcohol was very, very, very taboo. But actually, my dad was drinking when I was a child. So it was just me and my sister at the time, and maybe my brother as well, but he was really, really young. And I think they just thought maybe we wouldn't understand when it was very blatant. Like, I remember it so vividly. It's quite interesting how we remember some specific times of our childhood. I remember the smell. I remember what kind of drinks he was drinking. It was just, during the day. I don't know if it was a problem. I would assume so, because he ended up in hospital with hepatitis. I'm pretty sure it's related. It took me a few years to realize. Okay. We never talk about it with my siblings. We, I think, joke about it. Maybe like once a year will come up as a joke in a conversation. And obviously he stopped after a while. And there was also maybe one or two men in the community that were smoking and drinking, and it was all like, oh my God, look at him, if that, that kind of thing. So I was never really interested in it. But when I went to uni, I did 4 years of uni without touching alcohol. I was absolutely not interested in it. I had my circle of friends, but then France is really different to here. Obviously here it's a whole thing, but in France, I had my friends had a bottle of red wine to share between 5 people around dinner. So it was, I had no pressure at all. Maybe there was a bit of weed every now and then around me, but no pressure at all. It's only when I moved to the UK that I realized that it was completely hand in hand with socializing. So I moved to the UK as an au pair. So I was living in a host family. So it was still a bit of a family situation. But it was my second time away from home. First time being during my master's. I was still in France, but 4 hours away from my family. So that's when my dating life has started as well. I had a bit more freedom. Because I was so scrutinized when I was living at home. I would never go out really up until I did all my firsts at like 21, 22 onwards. I'm a very late bloomer, and I'm very happy about it. No shame. So when I moved here, I was an au pair. I was looking after 2 kids, but it was only from Monday to Wednesday. So I had my weekends from Thursday to Sundays, and it was a great situation. My host family were amazing, and they really wanted me to be integrated in the British culture. So I could, I was quite free to go out and meet people in my spare time. And I found this group called Couchsurfing Brighton and Hove. It's got nothing to do with actual couchsurfing, but it's a meetup group. It's a bit confusing, but it's a meetup group for people who live in Brighton and want to meet people. And every Wednesday we'd go to the pub and just hang out, really. I'm so grateful I found this group, because that's where I met some of my still friends now. But I just felt I have a personality, thank God for that. I'm pretty self-confident, but if everyone else is drinking, I'm obviously going to be disappearing. It was just, and also I was just a bit curious. I don't think it was peer pressure. No one ever told me you should drink, you should try this. I was just extremely curious. I thought, so if I drink this, I'm going to stop worrying about everything, and I'm just going to be a bit more bubbly, and why not? And I started with the very fruity ciders. And I remember that day so well, because it was planned. I thought, okay, this day I'm going to try and drink. So I wanted to make sure that I had a good dinner beforehand. So I have emetophobia, which is phobia of being sick. So I could not take any risks at all. When that happened, my host family were away on a skiing trip, so I was home alone, which was also good. I didn't want to come back drunk, that would have been so weird. Well, I wasn't sure if I was gonna, I didn't know. It felt like such a big act of rebellion, but it was also almost like a science experiment.
Yeah. You're really planning out all the variables, right?
Yeah. I always do that with everything I do anyway, but yeah. It was such a big deal. And I had 3 ciders, I think. Yeah. And I felt, quite I don't know how to say that word. Dehinhibited.
Yeah. Inebriated?
No,
uninhibited.
Uninhibited.
Yeah.
There was, and then from that day, it just became a weekly habit, and then it became 5 pints instead of 3, and then the rest is history.
Yeah.
But I had some horrible days of feeling extreme guilt. I mean, I feel a lot of guilt for many other things anyway. I also had just started a relationship, which also was my very first one, and completely prohibited by my family, and they never knew about it. It went on for 4 years, they never knew about it. Thanks to that relationship is the reason why I stayed in Brighton, because I had no money at all. After my au pairing job ended, I just moved in with my partner at the time at his parents' house, and I lived with them for 3 years and a half, which I'm so grateful for. Yeah. And my partner as well. I'm not, he doesn't have any responsibility in this story, but he was a very socially anxious person. So we both kind of relied on drinking and pre-drinking before going out, and then drinking loads when there. And he had such a good tolerance to alcohol, as in he could drink 6 pints and look exactly the same, like a very stoic person. And I felt like I had to keep up sometimes.
Yeah.
And also we didn't speak that much between us. I could talk about this for hours, so I'm giving you the short version, but communication was very difficult between us. So most of the time we had to drink to be able to get there. So yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah. So I'm interested in, like you said, that this, the relationship was taboo with your family. The drinking would have been taboo with your family. And I guess, I think we spoke briefly before, but this kind of feelings of taboos and intersection and shame, which seems to accelerate or exacerbate the likelihood of addictive behaviours, substance use disorders. So you've got a few kind of layers there, right?
Oh, absolutely. So much shame.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that. What link would you make between the kind of shame that you were feeling about this taboo and the alcohol use?
I do remember loads of teary conversations. I used to break down constantly, like to cry all the time. That was normal. And now I see people drinking and not crying at the end of the night, and I think, oh, okay, so it's not everyone. And every time I would end up crying to either my partner at the time or a friend, anyone who would listen, about how how I feel so guilty and shameful of just existing, just because I'm, I guess, the black sheep. I've never, anything that I've done was never actually out of rebellion. I'm just being who I am. I just happen to be extremely different to everyone else in my family, even my siblings who are my age, more or less my age. It's just I don't understand, and I'm not trying to be different. I'm not trying to go against what my parents want. I've always been in between the two as well. I'm a practicing Muslim, which a lot of my friends here don't understand, and just like my family wouldn't understand that I had this liberal, progressive lifestyle as well. So I think a lot of the drinking was for me to be able to access those feelings of and those very like deep conversations that I would never have sober. Absolutely not. At the time, I just couldn't, didn't really have the words or anything. So I needed to get to that stage of me in tears in a pub or on the walk home or at home in my bedroom. Like, I feel so guilty. I'm scared of judgment from the people here, but of judgment after death as well. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel so bad for me 6 years ago. Honestly, I want to go back in time and give them a hug.
What do you think then? You know, you said that you would give yourself a hug for that person you were 6 years ago, and it sort of leads me on to the question of what's the biggest areas of personal growth then that you've had over this time?
Oh my God, so much. Everything changed. Oh, I mean, I'm obviously a different person to who I was at 24, 23. So I'm going to be 31 in 3 weeks. Oh my God. So first, I'm so much more self-confident, as in like assertive. I know what I want. Or no, that's not true. More like I know what I like and what I don't like. I don't do things for other people anymore most of the time. Obviously, I still want to please my parents, and I still want to be everything for my parents, and that's going to be a lifetime thing, I think, and that's okay. I don't want to hear any more from people who say it's your life, don't worry about what your parents think. This is like the worst advice I've ever been given. Oh, yeah, finding validation from within. I think that goes with self-confidence as well. But now, yeah, and from knowing what you like and you don't like, and I being much more comfortable with my own free time, and my like just learning a new song on the guitar, for example, gives me so much more happiness and validation from within than if I did something for someone. I don't know, if I got really drunk for someone and they thought that was funny and we had a great time. I used to it was just, it had to come from other people. Now it doesn't anymore at all. And I'm much more selective with my time and with the people I want to spend it with. And when it comes to mental health, well, I think I've always been a positive person, as in quite optimistic, very resilient. But I used to, when I was younger, I just felt like everything was doomed. When actually now I see my mental illness as like a superpower, and I wouldn't change it, honestly. Without my anxiety, I wouldn't be so observant, and then I wouldn't be on time all the time like I am. And
what I think, when we have difficulties, when we have struggles, when we're neurodiverse, when you've got all of those kind of layers, it's difficult to get behind that filter of there's something wrong with me, you know, all the time. It's so insidious. And I love what you said about the fact that that's a superpower and it gives you certain strengths and it gives you skills, because I think that's the way to look at neurodiversity. That's the way to look at being alcohol free, no matter what the problems were. This is a superpower. These are skills. These are tools to live and live well. I'm interested in the what might be the way you look after your sensory needs now as well.
So I still don't really know how to do that in public. That's unfortunately, like I love to go to gigs a lot. and I still will go to pubs if people want to hang out in a pub, but I have no idea what to do with the noise, the smells. I just have to go through it, I think, right now. I got earplugs, which is great most of the time, but you can't have a conversation with them. That's not possible. I can't hear a thing. So I have my little tub of, not a tub, it's a tiny bottle of lavender essential oil that I like to have on me every now and then if I need a calming smell. But at home, I'm always under my 8 kilograms blanket. It's fantastic. It's a dream.
Blanket. It's so good. Yeah.
And I love, I'm not sure if it's related to sensory, but I love self-grooming. That's can change my mood so much. Like nice to smell nice and to be on top of my hygiene. That makes me so happy. Yeah.
I think it is in that self-care, sensory, physical, toolkit that we need. So I like, you just reminded me, I went to this conference last month in Miami. So having not done anything for literally years, and only seen my family sort of all the way through the pandemic, or done yoga with people, it's literally, that was it. That's the only socializing I've done. I got on a plane and then was with 500 other women in recovery in Miami, right?
Wow.
And I totally lost my shit.
Yeah, I bet.
I actually was sitting, I loved it, but I had to have one of those days in bed within a darkened room, listening to kind of some like yoga nidra music, because I was like, okay, I need to do an intervention on myself. And I had to wear my noise cancelling headphones at dinner one night. I was like, wowzers, because there's that layer as well of just not being used to this after lockdown, which so many people in the sober community actually loved, because it was like so many of us have those sensory needs and drank to make the world go quiet in pubs because we were told that's how we had to socialize, but we couldn't cope with it. It's like, oh my goodness, I didn't realize I drank so much to make the world go quiet, or to bring the lights down a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's crazy, isn't it, when you think about it? Once you start to look at it, the fact that we have, let's use that word again, shoehorned our ways into being social, being acceptable, being likable, just all the shoulds, all the shoulds. Man, that's just too much.
Exhausting.
It's exhausting. It bloody is. It's exhausting. And I love the fact that you do your radio show to talk about this and to shine a light on all the stuff and your experiences. And I just wondered if you could talk to us about your radio show. Yeah.
Sexuality Radio was born on 1st of January 2021. My friend had a music radio show on it, so I thought I'll give them an email and with an idea. I didn't think that they would be interested. My idea was I'd love to have just an hour once a month to talk about other people who, like me, have always been the outsider and what it looks like now as an adult. So I was, it was the year where I turned 30, and I know it's just society putting things into your head, but I made it a massive deal because but it has really been a turning point in my life. I've so much more myself since, just giving less, I can't swear, sorry, but
I'll swear, giving less fucks.
Yes. I wasn't sure if I could swear. So yeah, giving less fucks. And yeah, so with and also it was an excuse for me to reach out to people who would be like me, and to push myself to actually do research and look for people who would be like me, because there is no way I am the only queer Arab or queer Muslim, even though it has felt like it all my life. But actually, I found this charity called Hidayah back in 2018. The way I found them was fantastic. It was at Brighton Pride. I was just watching the parade and I see 3-4 people passing by with a big banner that says, LGBTQI plus Muslims, Hidayah, I also lost my shit. And then the following year, I was in the parade with them, and I made so many friends from that group. Some of them were on my radio show. I tried and talked to a few different people. So some people of color who are not necessarily Muslims, or some Arabs or South Asians who grew up Muslim but are not Muslim anymore. And we've had incredible conversations. Just made me feel a little bit less anxious every time. It's nice because it's so easy to be in your own head. I've had quite a sheltered upbringing. I don't know how I turned out the way I turned out. This is a mystery to me too. Really, like being so like it's proof. I'm living proof that you don't have to. If you hear homophobic things or racist things at home, that doesn't mean you have to be that. So people that use that as an excuse is absolutely not a valid excuse. We all have our own brain, and we can just read a book and get educated. Not that if you want
to do the work,
exactly,
do the bloody work.
Oh, absolutely. A lot of the conversations I've had were about like shame and guilt that you have from a religious upbringing. So that was quite an important one for me. So I've never wanted to reject a religion. As I said, I'm still practicing Muslim, but it's a daily work for me to be at peace with everything. It's so hard. And I have now a little group of queer Muslim friends who are all navigating, secret relationships. Some are out to their families, some are not. It's so interesting to see how obviously we have this big thing in common, but we have all very different lives. Again, people try and put us into groups. Even sometimes POC is a bit of a problematic term when you think about it. But we are so different, all of us. Just like all Christians are going to be different, all white people are going to be so fucking different, obviously. It's just been really good to have this conversation on a web radio. I think I really hope we don't have stats just yet. But I really hope some random people tuned in and heard what we talked about.
Amazing. I love that. And it sounds like it's like because of all the structures, well, it sounds like, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm just kind of reflecting, but all of the structures, all of the shoulds, all of the narratives put one in a place of having to barter off bits and saying, I've got to choose this bit,
exactly,
and I can't have this. So there's something about that, the work that you're doing personally and professionally and socially, which is giving me goosebumps, is having these conversations in order to integrate and create spaces for these parts that are not disparate, they're not separate, we've been told that they must be.
It's exactly that. It's on point. And conversations also to show that you can being Muslim has different faces as well. Being queer has different faces, and it's way beyond expectations or society, what society tells you.
And I guess you've got to start somewhere, haven't you? You said these umbrella terms are restricted, and they're insufficient to explain the complexities and the many different faces and many different voices. But it's like creating spaces where those voices can be heard. It's like the job, isn't it? It's and what do you think then, to bring it back to kind of being alcohol free and your choice to be sober, how has that helped with your work?
Well, first, I have freed up so much headspace because I'm not exaggerating when I say that 75% of my headspace used to be, when am I going to drink next, and how much is that going to be, and in what context, and then probably the rest of that was recovering. I have so much more time on my hand, so much more time to be creative, and also willingness to be creative, because I feel less numb. I'm not just powering through the week, waiting for my next time to get absolutely smashed. And also I've always been super introspective, alcohol or not, but now with being alcohol free and with finally being in my 30s, which is so much better,
Yeah.
so much better. I don't know, I feel like I see things more clearly, like they actually are. It's not just so emotional all the time. I mean, I am very emotional, but not because of chemicals in my brain, and not because of a hangover or calm down.
Yeah.
Just have more time, and I have Saturday mornings now. I have Sunday mornings. I don't feel like death on Tuesdays anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And you love the Monday morning. Like,
yes,
we know
and
that.
I love the Monday mornings. Yes.
Because of the structure of the week. I love the fact that we started on that when we were off there. We were like, we used to think I was so strange because I was just so happy when Monday morning rolled around. Obviously not when I was drinking.
Yeah.
But being a sober person, I'm like, thank God. It's like, structure, routine. People know what they're doing. Everyone's in their place. It's like, yes. Yeah, totally.
So my conversations with people are so much more real. I used to think I had real connections with people when I was drunk. I would pay so much money to be able to see me in those conversations. Because I thought I was genuinely connecting with people, but I'm sure it was absolutely nothing because there's people now on me in my life.
Yeah, it's so, I think what we're told about alcohol in terms of the messaging around it, you know, we are told you can't have fun without me, you can't connect without me. And I do think it's complicated for people who have sensory processing needs, trauma, and the neurodiverse piece, because we spend so much of that time dysregulated in fight, flight if we don't know. So that when alcohol kind of blunts that, it can feel like connection because we're coming out of fight flight, but it doesn't last long before we've become too numbed out, and then we're not connecting either. So you get that feeling of loneliness as well, where you haven't quite connected, but it's the nearest damn thing that you've got or something like that. I don't know. That's my experience.
Some people ask sometimes, I'm sure you've been asked that too, how do you have fun then? And I never know how to answer because it's such a stupid question. Just like
find fun.
Like so many people. What do you mean? Oh God.
What do you do for fun then? What's your
So I play guitar and sing in a band. We're called Sun and Air, SUN ampersand AIR. So it's alternative rock, indie. I love playing with them. They're incredible musicians. We're actually headlining the Hope in Ruin on my birthday on June 28th.
Amazing.
And I feel like the old me would have absolutely ruined that night because by drinking, and I'm so excited to be able to, so this is a dream coming true, and I'm knowing that I'm going to be doing it sober makes me so happy. I'm genuinely so happy because I'm going to be remembering everything. I'm going to be 150% present, and I'm going to be playing at my best, really.
Amazing.
So I play with them a lot. We practice quite regularly. We've got a few gigs every now and then, teaching myself the bass and the synth. What else? I love to go out and take photos. I do running long distance as well. I'm surprised it didn't come up any earlier, actually, because obviously another reason why I stopped drinking is to be a better runner. But unfortunately, I got an injury in January, so I haven't done that in a while. But I'm on the mend, and as soon as I'm better, I will get back to training for marathons. That's quite a big part of my life. I love to cook for people, especially some socializing. If I socialize with people, it has to be around food or board games. That's my two favorite things.
Yeah.
I go to the cinema 3 times a week. I go to gigs whenever I can. And I love to watch TV as well, like what TV shows.
I'm sorry, you haven't got time to drink.
No, absolutely not. No time or money.
No. I have a question to ask. It's a bit left field, but I was wondering if you have a guitar handy and you play, would you play a tune?
Sure.
Would you? Amazing. Amazing. We've never had this on the podcast, but I would love to hear a tune.
Dance me around the room. I want to see your heart burning down and bloom. I want want to see your heart burning down and bloom. Take me for a ride, dance me around the room. Wanna see your heart burning down and bloom. Wanna see your heart burning down. Oh, take me for a ride, dance me around the room. I wanna see your heart burning down and bloom. I want to see your heart burning down. Shadows in your eyes, all they said was true. You really like your games, you play me like a fool. You really like your games and you played. Shadows in your eyes, all they said was true. You really like your games, play me like a fool. Really like your games and you played. I'm on my knees, I give you everything that. Or would you find it hard to breathe, buried in the ground? Only time will heal and coming up for air lives. Or never losing grip on the fire inside. I'm on my knees, I give you everything that. Or would you find it hard to breathe, or buried in the ground? The time will heal, coming up for air. Eyes are never losing grip on the fire inside. Take me for a ride, dance me around the room. Oh, you knew all the ways to make me swoon. Oh, you knew all the ways to make me.
I love it. Oh, thank you. What a treat.
Thanks.
Oh, and thanks for just being so up for that, of like, yeah, hell, I'll do it. It's brilliant.
I love that it wasn't planned, actually. That's better.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah, no,
yeah, why not?
it's
fun to be
fantastic.
spontaneous.
So just before we close, just give us, tell us your plans and projects you've got coming up in the future.
Okay, so I am headlining the Hope in Ruin on June 28th with my band. It's such a big deal. I don't think you understand how big of a deal it is. It's going to be our first headline gig, and it's one of the best venues in Brighton and one of my favorite ones. Tickets are available on our Instagram. So it's We Are Sun Air, at We Are Sun Air. There's all the details there. Yeah. And I'm planning on moving to Manchester in August, which is very exciting. I'm terrified, but it's kind of it's so intertwined with my alcohol-free journey, because thanks to that, I've been able to start saving and just kind of removing myself from, as much as I adore Brighton and I will miss it so much, I think it's time for me to move on from the whole party scene, and just try something new and start fresh somewhere new where everyone will know me as someone who is sober anyway. Because here I still have friends who tell me, "Are you still doing the sober thing?" And I'm done with that.
It's the next part of the journey, next chapter, right?
Yes.
That's awesome. And yeah, so we'll link all of where people can find you below. So I'll get that from you and people will be able to see that in the show notes, and check out Hints and their band Sun and Air. Yeah, so we can do that locally. I'll try and come along. I'd love to.
That would be amazing.
Yeah,
that'd be amazing.
And also you are a panelist at the Club Soda Mindful Drinking Festival on the 9th of July. So very kindly agreed to come on and talk with me and with some of the brilliant panelists for that. So that would be awesome. And so we always finish with, what is your tip of the day and your reason to love sober?
The tip of the day: listen to your guts and not to what everyone else is telling you. If anyone is sort of questioning your sobriety, it's a reflection on themselves. You're going to make a lot of people very uncomfortable, but that's their problem. A reason to love sober is I love being able to wake up at 6 a.m. on a Saturday and have so much time ahead of me. And I can go for a walk along the seafront, go for a run, and not feel so terrible about myself, and not having to replay very awkward conversations or situations from the night before.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, like could be like a million reasons. It's like, but that is like hell to the air. I can all relate to that. Thank you so much, Hind. It's been amazing to speak with you and
Thank you
to
so much
hear
for having me.
and your song. So if you're immediately concerned about your drinking, please do just reach out, send up a flare to hello@lovesober.com, or check out one of the online communities. There's so many out there now, so just find your fit, know that you're not alone, and we'll see you soon for some more chats.
Bye.